Good morning, everyone. My name is Sean M. Brown, and I am the Urban Disruptor, and this is Urban Disruptor's weekly wrap-up. And then at some point in time, this is when the music will be in. I'm working on it. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are happy, healthy, and at peace. I am so excited to talk to you today about all sorts of stuff that is going on. I'm going to share this so that other people can see it and know what's happening. I thank you so much for joining us, and I hope that there's something that I say today that will help you out. Hope you can learn from something that I'm talking about, and we can all figure it out, whatever it is. I'm just sharing this real quick sorry to be rude and have my head down. I'm just sharing this so more people can see it. There is so much going on. I think it's really important that we stay focused and aware of what those things are so that we can figure out how to participate, what to do, and all that. Today, I'm going to spend most of the time just going over certain news, certain programs that are available, money that is available for things, especially for renters that need things. The election results for Camden have not been made public yet by the Camden County Clerk's office. So I'm not able to go dig into the election results yet, but once those numbers are done, I will be able to do so. So if you're watching this, maybe you started a watch party. If you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. If you want to, if I'm saying something and for whatever reason you want to come on in through video or call in, just send me a text or a message, and I will. I will comment on it. So I'm going to thank you for this audience that is building. I am going to do this on. Oh no, I'm not. I was about to say I'm going to do this on Instagram today too, but I'm not. So thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. This is Sean Brown, the Urban Disruptor. I am going to get right into it with sharing some news and things that are going on. So the first thing is I'm going to talk about the legalization of marijuana. Last week, real briefly, I mentioned that as it stands right now, the mayor is not interested in having marijuana be legally sold in Camden once those rules are enabled. But I just want to give everyone an update on what's going on with legalization, so that you can know. All right, so here we go. The first thing, Grow Generation CEO says New Jersey is a gateway to weed legalization on the East Coast. One of the advantages that we have in Camden right now, New Jersey right now, is that since New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware have not legalized recreational marijuana, people will travel from there. We'll travel from there to New Jersey. It's one of the reasons why I think it's really important that we sell marijuana legally in Camden, because the Walt Whitman Bridge and Ben Franklin Bridge take you directly to Camden, or at least not too far from Camden. And the other thing is these companies, these really big companies, $1 million, sometimes $1 billion companies, are poisoning themselves to sell marijuana. The way the legislation sits right now, which I'll talk to later, is it looks like a permit to sell, the license that it will take to sell will be $20,000. All right, so if you're in New Jersey and you care about legalization of marijuana, Ron Rice is a state senator from Newark. He's actually a former police officer. And this is an announcement that was made just yesterday. He penned a letter to legislative leadership requesting an impact study which outlines regulation, enforcement, marketing details for newly approved marijuana legalization referendum. He called it that's by referendum, that means the constitutional question that 2 out of 3 voters approved in New Jersey. He wants a racial and impact study, which is something that a law requires to be done on certain types of legislation. And then I'm going to just read a little bit of his statement. For too long, social justice and economic justice for people of color in New Jersey has been denied or delayed. Now that the legalization of adult use recreational marijuana has been approved by voters, some of my legislative colleagues are all but tripping over themselves to open the floodgates to marijuana sales and reward the lobbyists and investors at the center of this feeding frenzy. But my colleagues need to take a breath and remember that legalization became a referendum because a bipartisan majority of us could not, in good faith, pass legislation beneficial to New Jersey, and now needs to be gently, diligently shepherded into enactment with social justice unmistakably at its core. An impact study will go a long way towards that. So the legislation that's on the floor right now is not impressive to a lot of people who have been following this, and they want to make sure that if you've been convicted of possession, of distribution under a certain amount of grams, I think it might be 50 grams, that there would be a way to have that record expunged for anyone that's facing those types of charges. Now, many people, as you may know, have argued for years and years that cities like Camden are over-policed. And in being over-policed, that means people are disproportionately charged with marijuana possession or distribution in urban areas, whereas where drug use is pretty much the same throughout all parts of America, the arrest rates are much higher in urban areas, meaning that more of our folks are put into jail or prison for it. Oh, what happened to this one? All right, here's another one. I don't know what's up with this. All right, I'll go back to that one. Oh no, my computer's freaking out, everybody. Can you guys see me okay? Oh, wow. Oh, maybe it's just that website. All right, I'm not gonna be able to show you that story. I have to close that one. All right, this one opened back up. I don't know if you can see that, but like the screen started blinking. I was about to have a stroke in here. So, but everything is okay now. All right, New Jersey beat. So this is NJ Spotlight News, preparing for a new marijuana industry in New Jersey. So when you legalize something that has been illegal, it creates a new industry. It's a marketplace from seeds, from acquisition of seeds, growth, cultivation, a marketplace, so a physical store that has employees, that has a license to sell, that's the security requirements, marketing, customer base, taxes, all these things have to be done. So what this article says, just 1 week after voters overwhelmingly approved legalized recreational use of marijuana, lawmakers are already working on the regulatory framework. This is something that, so what happens is when a law passes, you have a law that's passed, and once a law passes, then there's regulations that are made by the executive branch of government. Regulations or rules that are more specific than what the law says or what has to be done. So that all that stuff is being worked on now. All right, I'm going to move on. Change of heart. Brunson will return as Camden boys basketball coach. So as you may have seen earlier this week, the coach said that he was going to resign. Rick Brunson said he was going to resign. And then he changed his mind and said, oh, I can't do that to the students. I'm gonna keep going. And this guy might want to return to the NBA at some point, which is understandable. But he's also coaching some of the best, including my cousin, some of the best basketball players in the country right now, including G.J. Wagner, Jerome Brewer, whoop whoop to my family, and other young men that are doing a great job. All right, next. If I have commentary, I'm going to say it. And if you have any questions or whatever about anything that I'm talking about, feel free to go into the comments and ask, or let me know however you want. Teachers Union launches petition to raise Camden's minimum wage to $15 an hour. The Camden Education Association has garnered more than 600 signatures in a petition calling for a municipal ordinance to require publicly traded corporations in the city to pay employees a minimum of $15 per hour. In February 2019, Governor Phil Murphy signed legislation that would increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour incrementally by $1 through 2024. So just before I keep reading this article by Stephen, right now on January 1st, 2021, which is 6 weeks from now, minimum wage will go from $11 an hour in New Jersey to $12 an hour in New Jersey. So we already have a slow increase to $15 an hour, which will take, I guess, 3 more years to get to, or 4 more years to get to. So I'm going to skip that. In Camden, like other towns in Garden State, then the minimum wage is currently at $11. The CEA says the petition, which was launched immediately on the heels of Election Day, was created so the city officials, in the footsteps of San Francisco, New York, expediting process. The thing that this does not mention, which I think is really important here, is that Camden city government, unlike San Francisco and some of the other cities that are in New York, those cities have laws in their states which allow them as cities to raise their minimum wage. Camden does not. Camden cannot raise minimum wage as a municipality, whether it's by petition, whatever. It cannot happen. It has to happen at the state level. There are a few laws that do allow cities to do things like increase certain taxes and do certain things, but those laws say that those cities have to have a population over a certain amount, which is normally 100,000 people. Camden's population is more like 77,000 people. So this is symbolic. I mean, I agree that the minimum wage should be increased. It's one of several strategies of what we should do to make sure people have more money in their pockets, especially in America's poorest city. However, this is not the way. I'm not sure. I don't know what the background of this is, but and I really wonder if those 600 people that signed it know that no signature on the petition is going to get them any closer to a faster increase to $15 per hour. So I read this the other day. I'm a little confused. I think that there's some good information. It's interesting to read. It's interesting to. Let me read this actually. So this is by CEA President Keith Benson. People paying attention right after the election are looking for a return on their vote. They are, but Biden didn't really run on increasing the minimum wage. But okay, CEA president who created the petition told Tap Into, our teachers have also gone 3 years without a contract, which would be tone deaf of us to ask for something ourselves without speaking to the needs of others in the community. We feel this could be a win for everyone. This will not be a win for everyone because it's not going to happen. This thing, there's a line here. I've heard a lot of unions say this over the years. Our teachers have gone 3 years without a contract. That's not true. You don't have a new contract, but the contract that you have in place says that certain provisions are for 3 years, and until a new contract is approved, those provisions persist. I'm a former school board member. I remember hearing this in a training. That whole phrase of 3 years without a contract, it isn't true. And it's actually illegal. It's impossible. And I would have to say that for people that say this kind of thing, look, this is my plea. This is my plea to the Camden Education Association and to educators in Camden in the district. Right now, the district is going through, and I'll pull this up in a few minutes. The district is going through long-term planning. Schools will close, people will be laid off, and academics are not great. The academic performance of students in district schools versus charter and Renaissance schools is not good right now. I wish I could magically wave a wand and let the union know that a legislatively impossible fight to increase minimum wage is not the way to go. Like that's not the am I in the picture? There's a picture. It's not the fight. The fight right now needs to be, how do we make sure that as many students are able to stay in the district as possible, as many parents have confidence, and how can you work with partners to hire qualified great teachers like the work that Camden Education Fund and Relay and other groups are doing to increase the quality amount of teachers that we have in the district and in our city. I think that's a much more effective fight. I think it's much more within the boundaries that are set by union leadership. And I think it's something that they could be successful with. So, but this whole thing about 3 years without a contract, and it's just like, and it's not even, what does that have to do with, the an increase in minimum wage anyway? I don't know, whatever, moving on.
Nothing.
Okay, state, tap into another article. State troopers save young man who contemplated from jumping from Camden overpass. Whoo. Okay, 2 New Jersey state troopers had saved a distraught young man who contemplated jumping from a Camden overpass on Interstate 676 last Friday. It names the troopers, and this was on November 6th. Authorities said troopers spent several minutes speaking to the juvenile who at several times balanced on a narrow ledge without holding on to the metal guardrail. As a crowd formed and the young man appeared to become more agitated, New Jersey State Police said both troopers inched closer and ultimately wrapped their arms around him and brought him to safety. And Stephen Rodas, thank you for putting this last sentence. This is very important. Anyone experiencing a crisis, contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 800-273-8255. Oh, it's kind of like my birthday. Or visit suicidepreventionforlife.org. I'm going to actually copy and paste this into the comments so that people can see it. Here it is. There you go. Share that information with whoever needs it. And I wish that young man well, and I congratulate those troopers on doing a good job of possibly saving that young man's life. Okay, New Jersey. Knows how to build internet. I can't. That was not working either. New Jersey. What that article was just saying that is for some strange reason blinking is that New Jersey is right now experiencing the highest numbers of coronavirus based off the test that it's seen since this pandemic started in February, and the data started in March. Coronavirus, COVID-19 is real. It is a true virus. It attacks people. Many of us can be asymptomatic, meaning that we do not actually have symptoms, but we can still be carriers of the virus. So I implore you to wash your hands, drink plenty of water every day, eat fruits and vegetables, including green leafy vegetables, take your vitamins, exercise, try to remove stress from your life, and yes, wear a mask. But having a healthy lifestyle where you reduce stress, drink water, and have a healthy diet and exercise is the best thing that you can do to boost your immune system. So if you're suffering from obesity, if you smoke cigarettes, this is a great time to attempt to to have a better diet, exercise more, to stop smoking, so that you do not have a compromised immune system. And remember, COVID-19 is not just about people who get COVID-19, get sick for a couple of days and get over it. It's also about the change that it does to our entire healthcare system, where if you're going to hospital for cancer, if you're going to hospital for heart issues, even for a car accident, the treatment and level of care that you get is different because of the anxiety and the provisions that are put in place due to COVID-19. So it's very important that we all practice the best habits that we can. This is going on for much longer than it should have. It is annoying. It's frustrating. The science isn't necessarily consistent. There's contradictory information that we hear at times, but just do your best to live. I encourage you to live a healthy lifestyle and to think about grandma, your great aunts, your uncles, the elderly people in your family who may have compromised immune systems, or people who are already suffering from other diseases or infections, and how important it is to not introduce anything negative to them. Good morning, Rashawn Hornsby. Right back at you. All right. I will be continuing to talk about this from week to week. So if anyone has any questions, let me know. There is this editorial that was written by Richard Nash and William. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Written by South. Well, it's not dated, but it says South Jersey Times Letters. And this is in NJ.com. And it says a few things about Camden I find problematic. So it's saying that there does not need to be a rail system between Camden and Glassboro. This is something that's been talked about for 20 years, ever since the light rail that goes from Camden to Trenton was created. Literally the week I moved to Camden, the river line started. So I remember this. I remember hearing the ding, 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 ding on Cooper Street. I lived at 220 Cooper Street when I first moved back to Camden as an adult when I was 20 years old. And a few months before my 21st birthday. And I remember the river line starting. So this had to be 2002. So 18 years later, there are now businesses that have been created in the name of the river line. There are young people who have never thought of a reason to ever go to Trenton. But there's a whole economy between Camden and Trenton because of the river line and because of the transportation issue that it solves. I know many young people who go to school at Rowan University. People have moved to Glassboro, to that area of Gloucester County. I think that a rail line between Camden and Gloucester County and Glassboro is a great idea. And what this guy is talking about here is completely off base. I don't think he understands what he's talking about. I don't think that he has a reason to go from Camden to Glassboro, so maybe he needs to find something more productive to do with his life. All right, next. Businesses in Camden invited to virtually discuss COVID-19 safety protocols. So if you know of this is a picture that was taken by Stephen and Milestone. There's my man. I always call him my man B. I think this looks like the lady who hangs out with Tracy sometimes. I forget her name. She's a nice lady. That's my man B, Brian. He is he's the owner of Milestone. Anyway, so the county is doing some things to help out businesses that want help with figuring out how to meet safety protocols. Look, we want to go out. We don't want to be stuck in the house all day, throughout the weekend, but we want to know when we go someplace that they are following safety protocols, that the staff is clean, the physical environment is clean, the air is pure, so that we're not breathing in the sickness of other people. So shout out to the county for doing this. Speaking of the county, and there is still plenty of money available for the Camden County Rental Assistance Program. I'm not showing my screen. Let me share it. Let me go back to share screen. Share screen. Just screen. All right. Just screen. All right, here we go. So if you go to CamdenCounty.com, all right, I'm gonna put this link in. If you go to CamdenCounty.com, and then right on the home page, you'll see scroll across. I'm gonna go back to it. I'm gonna hit this arrow. Camden County Cares Rental Assistance Grant. If you pay rent in Camden County to a landlord and you have access to your lease, or you can get your lease from your landlord, I highly recommend, if you're behind on your rent, that you apply for this program. It's easy to apply for. You need to let your landlord know. The money goes to the landlord. The money does not go to you. The money goes to your landlord. But in that money going to your landlord must forgive you for the past due rent that you owe. So if you are facing financial hardship because of COVID-19, and if you owed rent in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, or November, any of those months or all of those months, you can apply for money. You put your information in, you have to attach your lease as a part of the application. You want to try to do it from a desktop or a laptop. Once you want to look at the application, start it, go through it all the way. Okay. This is what's going to get us. This is what's going to help put more money in more people's pockets. If this is not your situation, you pay a mortgage, you're cooling your rent, you live on your mom's couch, you sleep on in your mom's basement, she doesn't charge you rent. If this is not your situation, I ask that you think about who do you know that owes money for rent that has a lease, and let them know about this program, because the county has put this money out. This is our tax money being redistributed. This is our money anyway that has been filtered through from the federal government to the county in the CARES program, apply for the money. Apply for the money. They also still have money, believe it or not, they also still have money for their small business grant program. I applied for this money for my small business. I got money deposited into my account. I think it was for $1,000 a couple of months ago. If you have an LLC that you've had at least since last year, and you have not received all the money that you normally would have because of COVID-19, again, I highly suggest that you apply for this program. You have to be a licensed business. You have your home base in New Jersey. Go to the website and you can read the requirements, which are all right here on the website. Here are the guidelines. If you don't know how to do this, I can help you. I can help you do this if you don't know how. Lady T is in the room today, and she has a question. What's your question, Lady T?
Someone has a question that said they heard you say that they have to be LLC since last year. If they are a new business, does this exempt them from that if their LLC started this year?
No, meaning no, you can't do it. Your LLC had to exist basically before COVID hit.
Gotcha.
I can look. Let's go to the website. Let's go to the website to check the exact time your business had to exist by. I know I started my business in July 2018, so I was good. So right here are the guidelines. Business revenue has to be negative. Here, let me do the old Control Plus here. Business revenue has to be negatively impacted by COVID-19. The business has to be located in Camden County since January 1st, 2019. The business, so you had to exist since January 1st, 2019 to be eligible.
Exist or LLC? Existing meaning like some people have existed since 2017 but had not LLC'd until now, but the LLC has to have existed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
January 2019.
And you can't do it if you're just e-commerce. So if you just sell T-shirts over the internet, you're not eligible because they want to help Camden County businesses that serve Camden County, a majority of Camden County clients.
Okay.
And it can't be a franchise. All right. So this application has been available since my birthday. I remember actually going through the process on my birthday, July 23rd. They still have money left. I'm actually really surprised that they still have money left because I know how many businesses need help with this. So please, 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 and I'm going to put the link to this also in the comments. Please, please, please. If you know of a small business that is eligible, please let them know so they apply for it. All right. If you know of a senior citizen that has issues paying their property taxes, there is a program for them. Check them out, and you can see that there is still a moratorium. Moratorium means something is killed, it's stopped. There's still a moratorium on PSE&G and cable providers cutting off people's cable or internet. If you're having issues paying your bills, I also recommend that you apply for assistance if you need it. There are a few different programs that are out there to help you pay for your PSE&G bill. I don't know about your cable bill, but certainly your PSE&G bill. If you're like me, I have Comcast Internet Essentials. My internet bill is $10 a month. I highly recommend, if you already have Comcast in a regular account, the rules are a little bit different. But if you are starting fresh, I highly recommend that you try to get that $10 a month internet. It's going to take you a little bit longer for something to download than if you have Verizon, but it ain't like the days of dial-up. So. So anyways, there's still a lot going on, and I want to hold on this time, man.
Someone answered that on your like can they go on a website to see what your information you're giving?
I should put this on my website. Yeah, if you go to Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap Up, and in the comments you'll see the links that I'm putting in right now on this live feed. So if you go to Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap Up or WCMB Media, which is where we're doing this from, you'll see this information come up. WCMD Media, Urban Disruptors Weekly Wrap Up, and you'll see the information come up. All right, now I want to spend a few minutes just talking in some commentary about some things that we have going on in our city and bring you up to date on a few things. It's like all lemon and no tea. I feel like I'm drinking lemon water at McDonald's. All right, the first thing is I want to talk about is healing and forgiveness. There's been a lot of talk on after this election where 70 million people voted for Trump. They are losers. They have lost. Their guy did not win. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have 55 million more votes than they have. I'm not interested in punching Trump supporters in their face, metaphorically, of course, or literally. I'm not interested in punching them in the face. I want to understand what they think. I want to see why they forgive and look past a racist, a person who looks out for the interest of millionaires and billionaires, but not of working class people or certainly poor people. I'm curious at this, but I know that their media sources are different than my media sources. I know that their way of seeing the world is different than the way that I see the world. But I want to see justice, and me seeing justice when Donald Trump and his children and other people are done with on January 1st at 12 p.m. as Joe Biden puts his hand on the Bible and takes the oath of office to be president. I want to know that the New York Southern District and the New York Attorney General are in the process of issuing an arrest warrant to Donald J. Trump, and that he will be in handcuffs and he will be tried criminally for the things that he's done. I don't hold my neighbor, whether they're in the same block, the same city, or the same county, responsible for his actions. I think they are complicit in it, but I don't hold them responsible for it. Now, let me bring this to a local level. This year, in early 2021, we're in the process of electing a new mayor in Camden, or electing mayor in Camden. It could still be Frank Moran, so I shouldn't say new mayor. In that, it is very important that right now, this week, the rest of this month, anything that you want to do that takes collaboration, anything that you want to do that takes beyond collaboration, anything that you have to do that's going to work with other people and other groups to get things done, get it done now, because Camden changes in election season. Because if I'm supporting this guy and you are over here and you're supporting that person politically, then people get weird. Well, what are you hanging out with Sean Brown for? He's not with us, right? So people get weird during election season. And instead of things getting, and assuming that I can't control things getting weird, what I can do is encourage you to work together with people. And I'm talking about working together to deal with our biggest issues, reducing the amount of poverty that we have in our city. How do you get cash in more people's pockets? How do you connect them with jobs? I'll show you an example of that a little bit later. How do you connect them with opportunities, right? What can we do? You heard what Joey said on my show a few weeks ago, possibly, where he thinks there would be less people in the streets slinging guns and drugs if they had more positive male role models and influences when they were children. Men have to step up in our community. It can't be Sean Brown, Namdi Nelson, this guy over here, that guy over there, Elton. There have to be more men that are from this community to have a straight back, a good vision for themselves, for their families, and their community. They're stepping up to young men who may be fatherless. The duty or service you may want to do to be to help some of these young men and young ladies that are coming home from prison. Remember, thousands of people are going to be released from prison into Camden in the next few months. Thousands of people. I think it's a little bit over 2,000 people. A few hundred have already been released. Okay, people have told me they've been hit up on. They've been DM'd by these guys and they're reconnected with some of them. We need to make sure they have a safe place to sleep at night, that they have a legitimate source of income, that they feel loved by their community, and that we are not doing anything to contribute to a person who was drawn by the worst parts of the streets, drawn into that world. We don't want them to get sucked back into there where they're making maybe some of the same mistakes that got them in prison to begin with. We also want to make sure that we're dealing with justice, right? That we're talking to our legislators and our freeholders and our council members and mayor about how justice should be applied in our community, because this is the duty of government to do, but it's our duty as citizens to do these things and to promote these things. I do want to, because I mentioned it, I do want to show you, I've shown this before, but I want to show it again. It's not It's not perfect, but it is good. Um, so if you want to help somebody get a job and you are connected to this wonderful Camden community, this is where you should go. So right here, you see Camden Works. I didn't. How many times have I done this where I actually haven't clicked it? There we go. Where you see Camden Works. So here is Camden Works website. All right, Camden Works. Welcome to Camden Works, how Camden Works works. And what you're going to do on here is you're going to fill this information out: name, your Camden resident, your address, how did you hear about it? You can say Sean Brown sent me. That's how I heard about it. Brizzy sent me. Nobody calls me that. Okay. Anyway, you're going to do that. You're going to fill that out. You can also just click right here to job board. And if you click job board, these are big employers in our city. CamCare, Camden County College, the Kroc Center, the police department, the sheriff's department, Campbell Soup. Now with this, what I would like to see happen more in our city is we need to get more people connected to civil service so they can have good jobs in government. As you know, as you may know, if you get a civil service job in government, you can have that job for the next 30 years. You can retire from that job with great benefits and great pay. Camden Yards and Steel, Campbell Soup Company, Center for Family Services, City Government, Connor Strong, Cooper Hospital, Coriel, EMR, company. Some of these are companies that maybe you never heard of before that are in the Camden industrial parks. Haltech, KIP, if you want to be an educator or work in education, Lockheed Martin, Mastery, company after company. Well, they edited that photo, didn't they? Look at that. Company after company is on here. If you want a job, you do have to put the work in. But Camden Works will help you. A social worker will contact you and help make sure that you're pinpointing and going to point you towards the right direction. Look, and I'm gonna tell Cooper's Ferry and Brian this website could be a little better. It could have a little bit more information on it, but this is a really good start. This is the most comprehensive, most efficient way to know if you want to work in the community that you live in. I get tired of seeing young people that need a job going off to Morristown and Cherry Hill. They get a job and then because they need a job so bad, they're not thinking about transportation, how they're going to get back and forth. You start a job on the 1st, you may not get your first check maybe until the 15th, if not the 21st. So how are you going to pay for yourself to get back and forth to work every day? How are you paying for lunch for while you're at work? How are you paying for the clothes that you may need that you're required to wear? These are the struggles that hundreds, if not thousands of young people go through in our city every single day. And as you've heard me say before, our local public policy does not address these issues at all, or not good enough. You have pockets of this and that going on here and there where people feel, oh, I've done something. If you have access, if you have resources, if you're in the government, if you have access to money, you have access to people, you should be concentrating on what can be done to get as many people in our community with money in their pocket. This starts with a job. It continues with credit. And step by step, we should all be working on lifting our people out of poverty. I'm going to keep on saying this like a broken record until it penetrates. I showed you guys some numbers last week, and I'm going to remind you what those numbers are. There are 2,200 people in Camden who have proven in multiple elections that they will show up to vote, but they will not show up to vote for the establishment endorsed candidate. They show up to vote for the opposition candidate or candidates. 2,200 people. There are around 4,000 people who vote for whoever is endorsed by the Democratic Party. That's all it takes for them. A lot of these people are older. They're seniors. They're over 50 years old, and they vote every single election, even if it's a non-competitive election. If you want to see change in this community, it starts with a political revolution that's attached to an economic revolution, and that's wrapped around a social revolution where people have been awakened to the fact that we have more power in our voice, in our vote, and in how we spend our money than any corporation, any politician, anyone that's endorsed. I read an editorial. I'm gonna pull this up to show you guys. I read an editorial written by the sheriff, Whip Wilson, that talked about the future of education in our city. And I admit that I was disturbed by something that I read in it. We're seeing sausage being made. I'll talk about this every show. I should have had this ready, right? I know, guys, my bad, but I'm gonna have it ready in a second. It's worth it. It's worth it. Here it is. I have a lot to say about this, actually. Make sure I'm still sharing. Am I still sharing? No, let me share this so you can see it too. Because so much about this. All right. Here we go. Share. All right. So let's tap into, this is an editorial. So this is the word op-ed, as is known. Opinion: presidential Camden school election set the tone for our city. I hope not. Gilbert Whip Wilson. And there's their sheriff, Whip Wilson, with a political ad behind him. Although this is his words, although I don't think he completely wrote this. Although 2020 has been difficult on so many levels, I remain convinced that Camden's best days are ahead of it. Hopefully. My optimism comes from my lived experience as a lifelong Camden resident with more than a half century of public service, and it's further buoyed by the recent election. I love Camden dearly. I live here. I lived here for over half my life. Saying that you're a lifelong Camden resident is not necessarily a good thing. Some of y'all need to get out of Camden and go to some other places and see how other people live their lives, including in other urban cities. Go down to New Orleans, look at their arts community. Go up to Detroit and see how conscious folks are. Go to Chicago and look how beautiful their architecture is. Go to Harlem and see how vibrant 125th Street is. Go to West Philly and see how vibrant 52nd Street is in that Black business community. Go to Washington, D.C. Like, go to into the hood there. Go to other places. Go to Newark, right? Go to the Ironbound section of Newark. Go to Jersey City and look at the diversity there. I can name city after city. There are lessons to be learned in other places. So stop saying acting like being a lifelong resident is a good thing, because it's okay. I'm sure there's some positives, but you need to get out of Camden and show that you have. Look, I've been to Amsterdam. I've been to the Netherlands. I've been to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Den Haag, also known as The Hague. I've been to South Africa, Cape Town, probably the most beautiful city in the world. Johannesburg, in South Africa. I've been in many cities in the United States of America, and it has opened my mind up to possibilities that if I just lived in Camden, my mind wouldn't be open to. Let me keep reading. Over the last several weeks, thousands of Camden voters turned out to cast their ballots in the general election. They didn't turn out. Most of these people voted for mail. So if you're going to talk about the voters in Camden in terms of weeks, then get it right. Most people voted by mail. They didn't turn out. Despite a pandemic that has disproportionately hurt our community. Okay. Amidst all their health and economic needs, amidst parenting and caring for elders, voters ensured that their voices were heard. Their commitment to civic engagement demonstrates a love for community and a belief that things can get better through the democratic process. It's inspiring. All platitudes. That whole paragraph means nothing. With this civic participation, we had the joy of electing a vice president who was the first Black, first Asian American, first female, and first child of immigrants to serve in the role. And we elected President-elect Joe Biden, who will restore decency to the White House and rebuild our nation's economy. Great. The president election wasn't the only important thing. Residents also got a chance to choose 3 new members of the Camden City Board of Education. I have no idea why this says 3 new members, because Karen Merrick's, who won, and Wasim Muhammad are already on the school board. So you pick 1 new member, who's Clayton, not 3. So your math is wrong. The race was personal for me. My dear wife, Martha Wilson, who was a member of the board for 23 years and served as its president at the time of her passing. Martha was a fiercely dedicated public servant committed to ensuring that our schools created a bright future for all our children. Under her leadership, the district initiated ambitious reforms, including creating Renaissance schools, building the new Camden High, and implementing a parent-friendly enrollment system. The winning school board candidates, all members of the Education for Everyone team, campaigned on a platform of continuing Martha's legacy. I don't know if that's true. I don't actually think that's true, but okay. I was proud to support them. If elections are the voice of the people, then the people loudly stated their desire to maintain the progress of the past 5 years. I know the education data in Camden well. I'm pretty sure I know it better than Whip Wilson. We do not want to maintain the progress. We need way more progress. We need to continue to have qualified teachers that apply and get hired in the district. We need better outcomes. We need updated curriculum and instruction. If you think that we need to maintain this so what you identify as progress, I implore you to look at the data. When you have students at schools where less than 10% of them are proficient in English, writing, reading, and mathematics, that is not progress. 1-2% increase is an increase, but it's not something that we should be celebrating. What is wrong with you people? Your minds are so political that all you can do is you have to make pretend that because you've been involved in politics for as long as you have, that we are always on a trajectory of progress. No, we're not. The more educated a parent is, the more money a parent makes in Camden, the more likely they are to move out of Camden. That's what they do. Nobody's buying this. Your team won because they were endorsed by the Democratic Party, and a lot of people vote straight down the column. And this is no disrespect to Minister Muhammad, to Sister Karen Merrick's, or Brother Clayton Gonzalez. But Goofy, Mickey Mouse, and Pluto could have run, and they would have won. That's what the data has shown us for 20-something years. It's nothing to do with people agreeing with their education agenda. They won because of who they were endorsed by. And Whip Wilson, you know that. Because you sit in these meetings with Steve and George and Mike and whoever else is going over the data. It misrepresents how this stuff actually happens. Elections set the tone and direction for our city. The tone that was set in this last election is that the teams didn't care enough about the people to be organized enough to actually get the vote out and the word out that there was a legitimate school board election and let people know what the legitimate issues are that need to be fixed. I don't want to hear about progress. I want to hear about what you're going to do to fix these issues, and our students aren't learning enough. They're not. And the data supports what I'm saying 100%. This year, we saw our city's generous, collaborative, and optimistic spirit when neighbors supported neighbors during the pandemic, when activists and law enforcement marched together to demand justice after the murder of George Floyd. That is not what happened. Activists and law enforcement did not march together to demand justice. How is law enforcement going to demand justice when they're law enforcement? That doesn't make any sense. But of course, it probably makes sense to you because as Sheriff Whip Wilson, listen, I'm going to keep talking about this on my show. And if I get one viewer, I'm going to talk about it. Whip Wilson wants to run for mayor, and it ain't happening on my watch. You can't mess up the sheriff's department. You can't deny social justice and then put words in paragraphs and think we're all so stupid, we're going to forget. A lot of people are not informed. They don't have the information. But on this show, on this platform, you will get the information and let people know that this is not accurate, that what you see here in writing are either platitudes, exaggerations, or falsehoods wrapped up with some fake optimistic message so that he can increase his own political clout. And for what? It's for no other reason but to feed his ego. Let's move on. But this is not enough. We must continue staying vigilant against this deadly virus, pushing for racial justice, and fighting for school improvement until the slate's name, Education for Everyone, becomes a reality, not an aspiration. And I know we will. Well, I like that sentence, but it kind of contradicts the previous sentences. And pushing for racial justice, you were in Whip Wilson. You were on city council. You were then in the state assembly, and you are now sheriff. You have zero record on pushing for racial justice. If you did, you would have told us because you're arrogant. We would have known what it is by now. The facts bear out my bullishness on Cam. You have no bullishness. You're a bully because you make fun of things like my hand, but it's different from being a bull. Test scores and graduation rates are rising. They are rising for the district very, very slowly. Not enough to put a sentence like that and make it seem like it's enough. Public safety continues to improve. Is it? Is public safety improving? Public safety is improving if you ignore the murders and the level of drug dealing and the level of addiction and robberies and rapes that are going on in our city right now. If you ignore that stuff, then right, public safety is improving. The data is in front of us. We can see it. This is publicly available information. This is demonstrably false. This is a false narrative that a politician must express in order to convince the public they're not seeing what they're really seeing. That your experience, your lived experience isn't good enough. Listen to what the politicians tell you. Believe that. That's what this says. Unemployment hit a 30-year low just before the pandemic and is again trending in the right direction. Based off of what data is this? 2020 has, by the way, you don't start sentences with a number, but whatever. 2020 has been tough, but I'm confident that our city and the thousands of individual hopes it represents will continue to move in the right direction. Our best days are ahead. I don't understand why a sheriff, he challenged petitioners for a nonpartisan election, and now he's talking about education. Like, what is this guy's motive besides running for office? And a couple of people told me that this has nothing to do with him running for office. Frank Moran is going to be endorsed by the party, and that's it. Well, this guy is up to something. You don't challenge petitions and make it known that you did so. You don't write editorials unless you have a political motive. You are the sheriff. You are a law enforcement official. I'm going to show you guys this. Elected politicians talk about the good things they do. They're not humble people. Nobody runs and gets tens and tens of thousands of votes and then does things that's a part of their job in secret. What sense does that make? Who does that? Nobody does it. That's who. Let's see. Let's fact check what I'm saying. Camden County Sheriff. Sheriff's Office. Here you go. Here's let's see. Do they actually have? I was on their Facebook page. I'm scared to pull up my Facebook page in front of people. Oh yeah, I guess this is their website. Okay. So you have important links on here. The website's not bad, right? But if you look at this, I'm gonna do this a little bit differently. Let's go to news. Camden County Sheriff News. Camden County Sheriff Wilson News. If you look at this, there's so many Camden counties in New Jersey. I mean, in America. Mm-hmm. When you go through this, you don't see anything impressive about what's going on in the sheriff's department. In New Jersey, the sheriff's department are the people who are responsible for maintaining the court system, but they also serve warrants for things like child support. We have to increase our expectations of elected officials. They get a salary, they get a staff. They are part of a larger network of elected officials and appointed people. We must do better in what our expectations are. We let these people off the hook. I've been at so many of these events where a politician gets up and is charming and makes a couple of jokes and people are clapping like seals, my mom would say, clapping like seals. But they know that when you get 15% turnout in local elections and they win with 60% of the vote, right? It's 8%, 8%, not of the population, but of registered voters that are supportive of what they're doing. So if you line up every single registered voter, all right, some of these people you got to kick off just because they've moved, they're dead, but their names are still in the books. So your universe gets a little bit smaller. All right, so then you look at everybody who's registered to vote that's alive and could vote when they want to, also known as active voters. Many of these people only vote for president. Half of them only vote for president, so now they're out. And then you look at who's remaining. Now you got, out of 100 registered voters, now you got about 40 people remaining. Okay. Out of that 40 people remaining, excuse me, sorry, I said 40 people remaining. You got about, I got the percentage wrong. You got about 20 people remaining. So you got 20 out of 100 registered voters that actually participate in local elections in Camden. All right. And that's in like Parkside, not North Camden, where the number is much lower. The people who decide these elections are people who don't show up to vote. What we're doing is we're letting senior citizens that live in towers. These are beautiful, humble, wonderful people, I'm sure. No question on their integrity, their intellect, or whatever it is. But they are not representative of the entire city. We got to get people between the age of 18 and 30 out to vote and get these people who are ineffective, who lie to our faces, who exaggerate success out of here. Because the consequences are too severe. It's very important that this happens. And I feel like sometimes the show, I'm end up becoming a preacher of what good government should look like. But before we can say anything about our government, the rest of November and December needs to be on us. I need to get Sean Brown together. I need to make sure my life is in balance, that I drink water, that I have a healthy diet, like I talked about earlier, that I get exercise, that I remove stresses from my life, that my income is set so that my income is never tied to my politics, that my family is set, that my children and their mother, I'm doing whatever I can to support them, that my mom and my aunts, I'm checking up on them, my siblings, my nieces, my nephews, that I'm checking up on them. I need to get Sean Brown together first. Work in progress. And then when I fit a few of those benchmarks, now I got to build my team out. I got to make sure my squad is tight. I got to make sure my bench is strong, that we're prepared, we're aware, we've practiced, that we know the rules of engagement. And then and only then should I be comfortable in reaching out beyond my family and beyond my squad to a larger group of people to lift my community. Somebody in the comments says, they have to be more involved with the Camden community. Shaking my head. The people wasn't aware of who was who before the election. Look, yes, I agree with you. I talked about this on my show, but I understand that my audience is only so big, right? So only so many people are going to see what I talk about. Anyone that watches a show like this, anyone who is educated, whether that's formally or informally, has a responsibility to share this information with your peers, with your friends, with your family. Politics has to be at the root of family discussions on a somewhat regular basis where you make sure that people are engaged. My children tell me that they don't like politics, but they sure do have strong opinions on Joe Biden and Donald Trump, because this is something that we discuss in the household. It's part of the news that they watch. It's a requirement. They know about a healthy diet. They know about exercise. They know about God, and they know about politics. This is something that's going to be in our house, and they are free to have their own opinions, but the facts are going to be presented, and my opinion is going to be shared. My good friend, Kyrie Golden, as you may know, is personally responsible for more young people going to Ivy League and top-notch schools in Camden than any other single individual. When you look at Camden, you see people like Dominic and other young people who are successful as grown-ups. It's because of the support that they got at LEAP, but it's also the support that they got specifically from Kyrie. And I know this because they tell me. Anyway, Kyrie says, things don't have to be the way they are in South Jersey, one of the richest states in the richest countries in the world, without any social safety net. I absolutely agree. If you look at, Camden is, by the data, is either the poorest or one of the poorest cities in the United States of America, based on something known as per capita income. So you take the entire income that every single person makes in Camden, divide that number by the amount of people who live in the city, and it's per capita. Capita means like head. So per head, per face. Camden is one of or the poorest city in the United States. You would think that our mayor, our council, our freeholders, our state legislature would do more to support lifting people out of poverty. And they do some, especially the county. Bill Moen, it's his birthday yesterday. Happy belated birthday, Bill Moen, Bill Spearman, Nelson Cruz Perez. When they represent Camden and Trenton, they are voting and supporting anti-poverty measures. They are. Could they be doing more? It's possible that they could be. They are doing it. But on a local level, it's not happening. I have no reason to separate people because I don't have an allegiance to any of these people per se. I know all of them. I'm pretty sure I have all of their cell phone numbers in my phone. But when you hear me going after Whip Wilson, it's not a personal thing, even though he's been extremely mean and rude to me personally. There are several people who I personally don't like, but their value in our community is so profound that I still am rooting for their success and what they do, because I'm not petty in that way. We need better leaders. They're not doing enough. When you got young people dying in our streets, when you have young people dying in our streets, when you have people addicted to drugs, when you have people who are housing insecure, when you have young ladies and young men raped, sexually assaulted, and you hear nothing of these issues from our leadership, not even a whisper. They have nothing to say because they do not know what to say. And they don't know what to say because they don't know. And they don't know because they don't do their research, their reading. They don't have a team of people around them, of people who are supporting these things. And it's not okay. Thank you, Pastor Khan, for the comment. Great information. And to everyone else that's watching. Our leadership isn't okay. And Pastor Khan, since you're watching, I said this before and I say it again. I think this is a great example of what I'm talking about. Pastor Khan ran for office in 2013 for mayor. Pastor Khan makes comments and has made some decisions that I strongly disagree with. We have feuded on social media. But any man of any ounce of integrity can see good in another person and extract that good in a way that benefits the entire community. That's why it takes nothing from him to give me a compliment, nor does it take anything for me to give him a compliment either. We got to be able to say, I disagree with this person and I dislike some of this person's tactics, whether it's Sean Brown or whoever it is. And that's fine. That is your view. But we also, as a community, have to see that our greatest empathy is not any one particular person. It is our apathy, our lack of care, and our ignorance, our lack of information. And we can get over our apathy and begin to care, and we can get over our ignorance and begin to know, then changing and lifting our community, will have no limits. Kari, you just said I sound naive. I'm not sure what I said when you're saying that I'm sounding naive, but I do believe that we can figure out a way to work together and I don't want to say put our differences aside, because I think when people say that, it's unreasonable. So maybe that's what you mean. But I do think that we can say, look, right now, this is our single goal. And in this being our single goal, let's figure out how we can coalesce around it. I have a whole handbook on it. And in this handbook, it talks about the strategies for it, right? Because see, some of y'all think that you can make the community better with the knowledge and skills that you currently have, and that's just not the case. You know how many hours I spent on YouTube videos, reading manuals and books to learn a new product, to learn a new service, to learn stuff for WCMD Media or whatever the project that I'm working on is, before I purchase something, making sure I read reviews and look at demonstrations to make sure it's the right thing. This does not make me a geek or nerd, or maybe it does. It makes me a person that wants to make sure I'm contributing what it is. So developing a strategy of things we're going to talk about: tactics, public speaking, planning and facilitating meetings, how to use the media, working with organizations and boards, financial and legal matters, how the economy works. These are the tools that it takes for us to be successful. Kyrie just said power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The control that I have in my own life, and I'm almost finished with the show today. The control that I have in my own life is simple. I have a network of I remember from a child, my aunt telling me that we're all here as human beings because of the downfall of Satan. Because Satan, Lucifer, got so puffed up, he got so haughty, he got so arrogant that he thought that he was good or better than God, the Creator. And in that began the downfall. Right? This is a very Christian ideology. I understand that, but the lesson is something that's for everybody. I'm not better than anybody else, and nobody's better than me. And if I know more, if I have more gifts and talents, that doesn't mean I'm better than you. It means I have more of a responsibility to use those gifts and those talents to lift my community. That's what it means. So when I get arrogant, when I get egotistical, I have so many people who are calling me, texting me, in my face, yelling at me sometimes, putting me in my place. And I, as a man, have to have the strength to be able to listen to that and not be offended by it, but understand that it is coming from a good place and move on. So to everybody that's tuning in, I wish you well. I wish you happiness. You want to come over for a second? You want to come over here for a second? We have
What's going on, WCMD Media Tribe?
this thing doesn't want to come out.
It's okay.
All right. Well, yeah, there you go. This is Lady T. Here you go.
What's going on, kings and queens?
So what do you got? Okay. Tell us.
Right here. Hold on.
I'm well over my time, but the audience is hanging in there, which is greatly appreciated.
Oh, that's not gonna work. All right, so we'll just do it the way you need to. So Tom, ask me what you need to ask me, because I was over here.
First, introduce yourself.
I'm Lady T of WCMD Media now, and the Conversation Plug, BTW Connections, and I'll be here. We'll be talking.
And what kind of stuff do you like to talk about?
We talk about everything from business to bedside, but most of all, we talk about everything that has to do with the creative and business entrepreneurs.
Okay. And what do you think of the show today? Give me a real time review.
It was really good. I wanted to chime in on some of the topics you spoke about. They were very important. So, as I go into the show, you'll be on so we can dive more into it, and I can give, my opinion.
This will be the last show of this format. Next week, my show is going to have segments, so it's going to be situated a little bit differently.
Still talking about the same topics.
Pretty much.
Okay.
I'm pretty consistent in talking about politics and service and programs that are available.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think that was really important. I like the resources that you gave. A lot of people were on my live and they got information about how they can get assistance. These conversations are necessary. We talk about a lot of stuff. We can talk about anything, the man on the moon, but it's really important to have effective conversations that push narratives out for our, community, our Black people, or people of color, and people who need the assistance. So one of the things that I appreciate was you talking about the people who were coming out of, the prisons and really effectively putting in, the people on the ground floor who are not afraid to start talking to these people and saying, listen, go here to make your life, like you said, not allow them to go back into the same space that they just came from. And it's easy to do that. They're coming out with a lot of post-traumatic stress disorders. They're coming out with a lot of mental issues that, we don't have a lot of resources in our communities that will assist them. So it's really important for those of us who are educated and do have information to share, to not be fearful to do so. You know what I mean?
I did a special episode a few weeks ago on social services. Mm-hmm. If you go to Urban Disruptors page and look, you probably see four faces. I interviewed Tone Henshaw, who's here at their academy, Keisha Montgomery, who is a baby mom nurse, as I like to say. It's a double entendre. Andrew Mitri and Ebony Hinton, who both work for the school district, talk to them about to talk to them about these issues. Cool. So look, WCMD is going to get better and better, especially for the rest of this year. We're getting some new technology. We're going to be streaming in more ways. I'll be coming on more often. I do want to just, before I'm about to go off, but I do want to acknowledge a comment. Gary Samuel says, every urban city in New Jersey has walk-in shelters in daytime centers except Camden. Why? Who do the homeless in our city have to get referrals from welfare to go into shelters? I don't know. I have the official list. You can see for yourself. Okay, I don't know how true that is because I'm not sure how Joseph's House works on Atlantic. But these are definitely the types of things that I want people to be aware of. I got to say, I don't think a lot of homeless people are watching my show, but people who help homeless people are watching the show. And we want to make sure they have the tools and resources in order to get the information that they need. Let me just check to make sure nobody texts me anything. No? Okay, cool. So, guys, listen. I wish you happiness and success. Feel free to send me a text message, give me a call, put a message in the comments, or DM me on the Urban Disruptor if it's about my show, or WCMD Media if it's about the overall platform. We are looking for other hosts. Lady T will be starting pretty soon. I feel a little jealous because I was the best looking person in the network, and now Lady T is here. But we'll figure it out. I'll shave or something. I don't know. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I see we got some new people who are making comments. Watch the whole episode. Fast forward if you need to. If I'm talking about something too long, but thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for this link. I'm about to go off. So if you have anything else to put in, you got like 30 seconds. With that said, Thanksgiving, come up with a Thanksgiving plan. Feel free to use Zoom or phone to connect with friends and family. Please do not try to have a lot of people in your house. It's not good. We do not want to accidentally give the virus to anybody else. It is real. I know people that are sick. I know people that have died. It's sad. I know people in the healthcare industry have talked about how much the healthcare industry has changed. So keep that in mind. Thank you very much, everybody. And be in peace. Take care.